We've got lasers and everything nowadays, and we don't have them on the front of vehicles to melt ice, though. Can you imagine if all the cars had like a line of lasers along the bumper that just pointed at the ground, and it just what it did was it would come on. You know how everything is pinpoint accuracy now, but they come on for ice. When there's ice on the ground, they come on. They come on, and if there's not, they're not going to heat up just concrete. And if everybody had, there's got to be a way to make a laser, because what they're using now, they've got beet juice, but they don't use it because they've outpriced it. As far as I know, the government bought up a bunch and said we want to set a price high enough so that nobody else will ever be able to grab the stockpile from us. So they jumped the price up. It's got to be what it is. It used to be a waste product they couldn't get rid of, and then they started putting it on the roads like up in the Dakotas, and it worked because it doesn't freeze. And so I'm guessing the government bought it up or put a price on it, so you had to pay a certain price, but now they can't afford to put it on the roads because the hot price is so high. So now they got probably beet juice sitting in places rotten, and it's probably rotten. You throw it on the road now and it's probably gonna stink. It's gonna smell like death. It's gonna smell like death beet. And but I thought, they've used, I remember, in the 60s, there used to be the roads weren't plowed very well. You'd be going through thick snow, and you try to go up a hill in the city, and they got salt. The hill, I got a hill by my house where they got a salt container or sand container, so you can get out and throw it on the road to get you up the road. And sometimes they had those in the 60s. I remember we used to go out apparently driving around and see if we get stuck or something. I don't know what it was we used to do, but we used to go out as a family driving around, and this road is, anyway. So they went from salt, or from plowing snow to salt, and didn't do a whole lot of highway traveling except for racing motorcycles. That was in the summer, so I didn't have a whole lot of interstate travel in the winter. Went on highways and stuff, but never on the interstate. But ever since I've been driving, it's like it's ice. I mean, there's a couple places, and I've been back before, and it's like even here in Iowa and Minnesota, it's like every other year they swap, where one does a good job plowing, one state does a good job plowing, the other doesn't, or one does a good job. They just swap every year instead of an incremental increase in bettering the winter driving road system. They don't. It's like they put salt down, which only works at like 30 some degrees or something like that. I don't know I can't remember what the temperature is, but it has to, basically the sun has to be out. And this beet juice, it doesn't freeze, and that's the reason you're supposed to put it on the road to keep water from freezing. I guess you mix it with salt, put it on the road, beet juice and salt, and they also got a brine system where that's stupid because you're putting salt water, but it's water. I mean, it's going to freeze, and the only way salt's going to melt is if it's like 30 degrees or something like that, which is going to melt anyway at 33? It starts melting. So, I mean, the salt, maybe it's 20, I don't know, maybe it's 20 degrees, but anyway, this beet juice doesn't melt, and it helps maintain a surface, but they don't use it because I think they price themselves out. So why not bump up technology and put lasers on? Just find some way to make lasers pointed at the ground. Maybe you have to put them on every vehicle. If the government's not going to step up That's the whole problem. The government takes our taxes, gives them to other countries, and doesn't do anything for us. There's places up in Minnesota, the counties don't even plow. I mean, all they do is plow. They don't put anything down. You never see plows on the road. It's always an ice pack. All the other roads will be cleared, they'll be dry, and then all of a sudden you hit their county line, and it's ice. So there's people up there that it's got to be a corrupt government. Now, I've heard that they've cut funding to certain places. It might be those places because they were corrupt, and the people running those districts or whatever, the county, are just corrupt politicians, and they're just taking the money and using it in someplace else. I don't know. I've just heard what I hear, but I'm at the point where why don't they, we're going to Mars and they still haven't improved the roads. I mean, the roads are still ice pack in the winter. I mean, it's still, and every 5 years they're basically rebuilding concrete, or they're putting asphalt on something. They build roads here that are brand new concrete. Interstate system here in Des Moines, brand new concrete, and they worked on it for, I don't know, a year or two. As soon as they got done, a month later they was back repairing it, and they've done that to almost every inch of the road that they put new pavement, they new concrete down. They've went back and redone it, and it's like, what the heck is going on? So I think, I'm at a point where, if they're not going to put down salt, it's because it don't melt. They're not going to use salt brine. They're not going to use beet juice and salt. Why don't they go to lasers? If they're not going to use any of this stuff that they've given, and then what are they going to do? They're going to say, well, we can't allow lasers because this, that, and the other. Yeah, well, I think I might even get a laser. I mean, there's a flashlight that you can write with in paper, and it melts, something. Because this is ridiculous. They want you to put on a safety belt. They'll pull you over for a safety belt, not wearing a safety belt, but in the middle of winter, they won't do anything to the roads. See, it don't make no sense to me how this government could push stuff and then they just turn around and they don't do it themselves. They just use money, they'll throw it in another country.